Sweet. All right, good morning, everyone. Ooh, that's kind of loud. Yeah, I'm gonna be hobbling a little bit because my quads are killing me right now. I think that's just, that 10K was retaliation for when they visited me in Chicago and got destroyed by some deep dish pizza and we're bringing it up the next day. So he's been plotting his revenge and I think this was it. So today though, really excited to be here. I'm going to be talking about VDC teams empowering superintendents in the field using cmBuilder and technology in general too. First, the down button. Yeah, I did. There we go. I guess I got to point it over here. A little bit about me. My name is Ben Stocker. I'm the Senior Construction Technologist at Skender, a GC based out of Chicago. I'm in charge of all of our R&D and then implementation of any new technologies. So that's finding new workflows for existing software we're already using, or finding new software like cmBuilder. I discovered these guys. They had a booth at a conference. It was 2 years ago now. And so that's part of my job, is just finding new technologies to bring into our company and empower our teams. I've been with Skender for 9 years now, and in this dedicated technology role for 6 or 7 of those years, I believe. A little bit about Skender. I'll make this quick though. So like I said, we're a GC based out of Chicago. We also have an office in Indianapolis too. We do a bunch of different type of work. Our bread and butter is like interior build outs, but then we also do high-rise construction as well. And we're doing tech offices, multifamily buildings, low-income housing, a lot of healthcare work, so a little bit of everything across the board. So first thing I want to talk about is eliminating the handoff between BDC and the field. So an example of what I mean by that, I'm going to go back to earlier in my career, things I saw. So similar to this handoff I'm going to be talking about here, the first time I saw this disconnect was a handoff between estimators and then project management teams. So we had dedicated estimators at this other company, and they would go through and they knew the job in and out, they would create a budget for us and everything, and then had a 30, 60-minute handoff meeting with the project manager and that team. And you get some of it, but that estimator knew a lot more at the time. And then as the project is going on, you're like, why do we only have this much money for this in the budget? I'm like, I don't know, talk to the estimator. I didn't choose this. So there was that disconnect there, and you can see a lot in our industry between VDC teams and field teams with that as well. VDC teams will know the model very well, know everything that they're capturing very well, and everything that they've planned and scheduled out in there. And there might be that disconnect with the field because maybe they don't have access to the tools to view that model in the field, or weren't in depth into that the process of BIM coordination or whatever. So there's that disconnect there that we want to try to eliminate. And one of the ways we can do that is by making all of these workflows and softwares that we use just more accessible and easy to use, and then also teaching the field teams how to use it. So looking through a few examples of things that have just become a lot easier just in the past short handful of years that have really helped out field teams. So BIM. This is just a screenshot from Procore BIM, but there are a lot of just web-based model viewers now that have gotten a lot easier and more accessible, and you have things like Autodesk Construction Cloud and Revisto and Procore BIM that just make viewing these models really easy in the field for field teams. Where before, you had to have a dedicated computer that was a little beefier, that was setting at the office and not out in the field. But having these available just on our phone, I think I took this screenshot from my iPad. It's just really helpful for the field teams. And so that just makes it more accessible to them. Then the next one I had on here is light surveying. Emphasis on light because we are not licensed surveyors at Skender. We don't have any licensed surveyors, so I want to say light surveying. But we've gotten into this more recently just because it is so accessible now, where yes, we still have survey teams that will have and do more important surveying and checks and whatnot. But whenever we need to do just quick elevation checks, shooting in a ground control point for something, it's really nice to be able to just have our teams do this ourselves. And we're using the mLib platform, which has just made things really easy because everything is just done in a nice app on your phone. You don't have to have a dedicated data collector that looks like a TI-83 calculator that hasn't been updated in 20 years. So yeah, that's become really nice. I like this picture too. I'm going to talk about him later, but this is one of our superintendents, Tom Behringer, aka T-Fly, as it says on the back of his hard hat. But this was, we were checking some points on one of his job sites, so I got this great picture of him walking out. Moving on to drones. This has become a lot more accessible and easy for people to use too in the field. We have a team of, 19 pilots now, I think. I got some pictures here of the superintendent using drone fly as a computer, and we got another guy flying out in the field. These were all pictures I just took within the past few weeks, recent stuff. I just awkwardly told them, hey, pose for a picture really quick. I need to use this for a presentation in a few weeks. But yeah, this has become just very accessible for the field teams. All these flights are automated and easy to use now. Shout out to drone deploy guys, Grant in the back here. I'll give him a little shout out, talk to him. He's got a booth set up over by the windows. So you can see how easy and automated this is for our field teams to use. And then last but not least, the reason we're actually all here is logistics. So I got a cool example up on the screen right now, but just going back to our history of trying to do logistics planning on jobs, for the longest time, and it still happens on smaller scale jobs, we just have people going into Bluebeam and taking a 2D PDF and drawing some annotations, some colored rectangles on it and stuff like that. But when we try to, you want to make them look better than that on either more complicated jobs or more high profile jobs, you want to talk or, demonstrate it to the owner better. So we started looking at other options, and we've tried out a bunch of things. We've, used, we've tried just making custom things in Revit. We've outsourced to other companies who are better than we can do internally to make models, and that is expensive. Tried things in SketchUp. Tried using things like Bentley Synchro, and all those work well, but they're not, in my opinion, super accessible and easy to use. And like Javi just said, it's easier to build something that's difficult to use. It's hard to build something that's simple, and that is something that we've seen. If any of you guys here use Synchro, do you have field teams building that model in Synchro and sequencing that out? Probably not. If you do, that's impressive, nice job. But you probably have a dedicated VDC person doing that. So, and going back to my initial comment of trying to eliminate that handoff or eliminate the disconnect, when you have just someone else building this logistics plan who's not actually on that project team, there's absolutely a disconnect there. When we worked with teams outsourced to actually build these sequences, it was just a constant calls or emails back and forth to make little changes, because the people who are actually sequencing it or modeling it, they don't know the job like the superintendent does. So it's really important to make that easy and accessible for the actual project team and the superintendents, whoever knows that job like the back of their hand. And in my opinion, these guys are doing that now, because it's changed how we've done logistics at Skender. So an important part of making this accessible for the team and getting them to actually using this that I've seen is showing them how easy it is to be done, not telling them how easy it is to be done. Because I'm assuming most of us in this room are more on the VDC side. Are there any field superintendents, field managers in here? One? Okay. All right. So I'm assuming the rest of us are all in the realm of VDC more. So that's actually good, because that's more the people who need to hear this then. So it's really important to show these people how easy this can be done instead of just telling. So all the VDC people, we're used to working with these types of software. It might come a little more naturally. We're used to just being thrown something and be like, all right, I can click around and figure this out. Where superintendents and field teams, they're super busy. They have a million things that are going on in their mind, and they don't want to take the time to learn a new software, especially if it's complicated. So what I've seen, and I will admit, when I first started using cmBuilder, I just kind of learned how to use it on my own while I was just testing it out. And then for the first bit, it was just me making the plans, and there was a little bit of disconnect. But what we typically do is have a called it just like a brain dump session where I sit down with the superintendent and they just offload all the information into their mind, and I would just be like building it live quickly while they tell me everything they want to do. And like that works, but that's not really scalable. Typically, you have a lot more superintendents at your company than you do BDC people. So it's not going to scale well. So we quickly realized that we need to actually train all these field teams how to use this. And a lot of them, after those quick working sessions with me, like they got the gist of it, and it was pretty easy to get around in there. But then what I started to see is that it started to organically spread more, and that's where it became really powerful. It's really cool to see someone start using it on, or I have a session with someone, they get, they learn enough to be dangerous, and then they move on and use it on their next project. Or they have a team meeting with other people in that business unit or whatever, and they say, all right, hey, I'm using this cmBuilder now, like this would be perfect on this job, you guys should be using this too. Because I can't personally be aware of what's going on in every single project, but like the whole field team network, they talk a lot more and spread a lot more. So yeah, it's really powerful to actually show these people how to use it, because then they can actually see how easy it is and intuitive it is. And I'm not just like trying to be a brown noser right now. Like it is intuitive and easy to use, and that's why it's been able to be scaled. And even if they don't become absolute power users after that first 1 hour session or whatever, like the product is great enough where you can know enough to be dangerous. And then sometimes what we'll do is like they'll make 90% of the plan and then have me or someone else who has had more experience with it just go and like touch up at the end and be like, oh, they will say like, oh, hey, I got this sequence down, but I really wanted to do this. And like, oh, it's a quick little thing over here. So you can teach them that last little 10%. That has seemed to work really well. But I want to go through some examples here. These are after some of like the first sessions that I sat down with people and then they made some plans. So I just want to show you some examples. These aren't going to be the flashiest of plans. I'm sure some of you in this room have made some really good ones, and like we made some good ones too. These are going to be a little more simple. But I want to see like how much more value there is into doing this in cmBuilder versus like what these teams were using before. So here is a pretty standard looking basic logistics plan, but like from a distance, actually from where all of you, even the front row, where you can't tell exactly what we're trying to show here. I mean, it's colored rectangles and some keynotes over on the right side that correspond to the colors on there, but like you have to actually sit and analyze and look at it, and that's not very intuitive, especially if you're trying to show this to like an owner who's not super familiar with construction or something. So, oops, I went the wrong way. So this was like first step. We made this look a lot better later, but I want to show just like the first step here of what we were able to make after that. And even though it is still a lot of just like colored rectangles, this is so much more visual to have the aerial map in the background and actually show the crane there. And we still kept the color coordination the same, because there was a reason they picked those colors. I think coordinated with something that the owner wanted, but having just the big labels on it so you don't have to look over to Keynotes on the right side or something, it's just really powerful to be able to see that, especially even just the aerial background alone. That's a huge benefit. Another one, I brought this one up because it's, at a glance, it looks the same as that previous one. It's just another bunch of colorful rectangles, but it's really trying to show a completely different thing. That last one was showing more material laydown and where everything was going to be, but this is trying to show a stage of a building going up. So we go to the next stage here, you can see, even though those two logistic plans look the same, this is completely different. And this was made after, what is he technically? He's like a field foreman or something. I think he's working towards the way of superintendent. But, so this was made just after a quick session. I think this was like under an hour with him. But it's really great to be able to show, like, all right, we got the east half of the building here. Let's see, can I do a laser on here? Yeah, so like this right here is just the east half of the building, which was the yellow over here, but then this phase two. So this is the logistics plan that they had created, and it's actually supposed to be multiple stages shown in this one plan, which is not great because it's hard to understand that if you're not used to construction phasing or anything. So after bringing this into cmBuilder, it was just great for them to be able to show exactly where the crane pad is. And here, you don't even know that that dark yellow is supposed to be a crane pad there, but now it's a lot more obvious. And it was cool to be able to show the truck route coming in. We got that animated using the resource pad, what do you call it?
Visual graph.
The visual graph, yeah. So we got the trucks animated coming in there. So yeah, that was really cool. And then actually, shout out to another little feature on this page. Unrelated, but on this one, we weren't able to get a drone captured to have as a background, but this is one where we used, there's a plugin in Blender called Blossom that allows you to bring in, someone was excited about that. It allows you to bring in Google 3D tiles, which essentially is just bringing in the Google Earth 3D model into cmBuilder. It's a little bit of working around going into Blender, but it's not that hard. But it's really great to do that when you don't have time to go do a drone flight somewhere, or you maybe don't have access to fly a drone there because of airspace reasons, or maybe you just don't have a drone at your company. But yeah, it's great to like bring in the actual 3D model of the surrounding area. Helps for context. Moving on, I got two more of these. I'll go through them quick. This one, similar story. Looks like colorful rectangles, but what's going on here? Is this stage of the building? Like, you don't even know. But they're trying to show off an excavation plan here. And even just the first stage of it, where we just first went down a little bit, seeing this provides so much more context to the owner, the surrounding business owners. And this was able to be made super quickly after a quick session with the team, because I helped them. I brought in the drone model, but then it's as easy as teaching them how to draw a little polygon and show where they want to excavate. So really powerful here. And this last one's my favorite one. So this image was given to me by someone in our interiors group, actually, who uses cmBuilder less because it's a little more outdoor oriented. But this job was going to be doing mostly interior construction throughout this building, but there's a small little area here where they're going to be tearing off this roof and replacing the roof, and then also putting like a little rooftop patio or something up there. This job is actually like just starting right now. But they handed me this and they were like, okay, this is when we were trying to win the job still. And this was their logistics plan of how they were going to set up scaffolding and a temporary roof and stuff. They're like, hey Ben, do you have anything? Like, can we do something better than this? Absolutely. Let's sit down. I'll teach you guys how to use this. So this was, I think I spent an hour and a half, or I spent like under an hour teaching them how to do stuff, and then, or teaching them how to do basics. And then we were able to create this afterwards. And even just this simple visualization helped us win this project. Because I guess all the other GCs were approaching this little exterior portion of it differently. And then the owner liked how we were doing it the best, and cmBuilder helped us visualize that. And if I didn't take I seriously spent like 30, 45 minutes just teaching these guys the basics of how, okay, here's where you can get to the scaffolding resource tools, here's how to drop it in and stuff, and then whip this up. So yeah. Super, super beneficial, showing these people how to do this, and then they can, I mean, it helps them win jobs. This was a perfect example right here. So yeah, really, really powerful there. So kind of the theme of all this is that we want to empower the field teams. Don't just support them. I think of supporting as like getting a task, the VDC team gets a task, all right, build this, hand it off to them or whatever. But like actually empower and work with these teams, because when you empower the teams, when you train them how to do this, it's just going to organically grow from there, and then you get so much more utilization out of the product. And that doesn't apply to just cmBuilder, that's really anything VDC related. Like there's like a, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, an assumption that a lot of the things that VDC teams do are just kind of magic, too complicated and whatnot, and I hear that a lot, but then I'll teach some teams like, okay, no, this is what I'm actually doing. When we do laser scanning and do this floor analysis, like this is what's going on in the background, and like, it's good for them to like understand that, because then that's more knowledgeable when they're explaining how we got this floor analysis to the owner, and why we need this much floor prep. But going back to logistics here, yeah, it's just, you want to empower these teams so that they can use it themselves too. And sure, maybe on more complicated projects, you can still have a VDC team do it, but like I can't be everywhere. Like I don't know all of our jobs that we have going on, like I mentioned. So it's great when I just see new projects pop up in cmBuilder, and I'll dig in there and be like, ooh, what is this super building? So like, it's really cool and rewarding to see that after just empowering these teams, how it has grown from there. How am I doing on time? Okay, cool. I'm almost at the end here anyways. So last year, this is a little example. This is going back to Tom Berenger, the picture of the guy who was holding the survey equipment. Actually, that picture was taken like right here where you see that little flagger on this project. So Tom's using cmBuilder a little differently, and I really like how he's using it. He was one of the first superintendents that really took a grasp on it. And instead of planning the whole job in advance, well, he's planning the whole job in advance, but instead of having all those sequences in cmBuilder, he's using it more for critical day activities, which I really like that because it doesn't have to all be in cmBuilder beforehand. He's just using it as critical activities are coming up. He will just make sure that the latest drone map or model is on there, and then he'll build a little plan for that one-day activity that's coming up next week or something, so that he has the latest aerial map on there and the latest job site conditions, and then can make a little new map or a new logistics plan for what's happening. So I'm going to read a little quote here just in case you guys can't all read it. But we had a critical path activity involving a crane that was scheduled the same day as the groundbreaking with the Mayor of Chicago. Utilizing cmBuilder, I was able to show the subcontractor, the City of Chicago, the owner, and the trades what the surrounding streets would look like that day of both activities. And having the real-time drone footage of the site as the background allowed all stakeholders to plan properly, and the day was a massive success on all fronts. So yeah, this was a great success for him. He was able to show where everything was going to be, and I actually didn't include it in this screenshot, but there's more stuff on the surrounding streets over here showing where we had trucks backed up and whatnot. So we were able to plan everything where everything's going to be for that one day, and so it was it worked out really well for them. And this is just one situation, but Tom's been he's had multiple case studies just like this on this same project that's still going on right now. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. I think that's everything I had then. Yep. So that was everything I had.
Yeah, just one question on training. I know cmBuilder's been great with our company onboarding. Do you do your own training to cmBuilder, or do you rely on them to do the training for you?
We've mostly been doing. It's mostly been me doing it. I should. Actually, I'm glad you brought this up. I should direct them more to the monthly user webinars and stuff that they're doing. I have found though, sometimes when I have tried to teach a new superintendent and maybe they don't have a project yet, I just know that they would benefit from using it. Sorry, my throat was just really dry there.
Because you ran 10K.
Yeah, thanks. I'm still catching my breath from that. No, I've seen that people value learning this, or there's a lot more value when they learn on their own project too. So, while yes, it's very beneficial to join their user webinars, and I join every single one of those so I can learn all the new tips and tricks and whatnot. But as far as teaching the field teams, I found huge benefit to actually do it on their project, because so many more questions pop up then. If I just show them a generic example of someone else's project, I just say oh, here's what we did on this job, here's how you can do this, and they're okay, cool. But then when you show them one of their jobs that they're actively working on or have one coming up, then they're oh, well, actually we have we're gonna have a second crane that's gonna be over here. Can we actually show if these are gonna intersect? A lot more questions pop up then. So I found a lot of value in just doing my own training sessions with them using their own projects. And I know you guys do training using their own projects too, but I don't know, I like working with our teams as well, and I don't know, maybe I should be directing some more.
Because it's familiar for them, right? When they are in that project, and also it's a moment for you to discuss the challenges of the project, right? So,
Yeah, so what Pedro said, for those that, you kill two birds with one stone, right? If you're actually working on their active job, it's not training anymore. It's oh, I gotta get a deliverable out of this, and I'm learning the job. Which is
Exactly.
We got time for one more question. We have Grant here. Okay,
Ben, how do you go from one Tom who's kind of your like superintendent, vocal, like, hey, this is valuable? How do you go from like one Tom to like 5 Toms or 10 Toms? Like,
We have
is
a-
he the one doing that?
We have a
or-
cloning machine that we have out in the house. No. Honestly, that organic growth I talked about, that's really how it happens. I mean, so I will try to spread as much as possible, and when I hear about a new project coming up that would be perfect to use in this, I try to push it in and get that team to use it. Maybe they have already on other jobs, or maybe they haven't been exposed to it yet. So there's me pushing, but then also, so Tom specifically has been a great example of someone who is spreading this within Skender, because he'll go to, he's on our multifamily team, he'll go to the all multifamily team meetings and show them like what he's been building in cmBuilder, just so that everyone else can get exposed to it. And then they'll either reach out to Tom to like help get this set up, or Tom will just say, hey, reach out to Ben and he'll train you, teach you, get you up to speed. So just that organic talking within the teams is really great, because I mean, superintendents, they love telling stories and showing off their projects, right? I mean, you're ever like driving around town with them, like, oh, I worked on this job over here, I worked on this job. They're very proud of their job. So him and then other supers at Skender as well have been very proud of the logistics plan that they've built in cmBuilder. So it's really cool to see them. They just share it with other superintendents, other people at Skender, and they want to use it as well.
Awesome, thank you, that's amazing. Round of applause for Ben.
Thank you.